Repatriation Officer Sam Taylor pushed back into his seat and closed his eyes. It wasn't that he disliked flying. In fact, at times, he rather enjoyed the feeling of being shut off from the rest of the world. Sat there in the compressed environment, thousands of feet in the air, it could be relaxing to know he could switch off from everything and just let the powerful jet engines fly him off to wherever. But then there was the landing. Again, the logical part of his mind told him that the chances of anything going wrong were near enough zero. Yet he still felt an uncontrollable urge to close his eyes every time the plane landed. It all came down to his limited understanding of physics. He understood the concepts behind takeoff, lots of thrust, big wingspan, and movable flaps, all resulted in the lump of metal getting airborne. It was no different to sticking his hand out of a car window and surfing the wind. Yet nothing he had read explained in a simplified way how tons of metal could be safely brought to standstill after traveling hundreds of miles, thousands of feet in the air. So, as the fastened seatbelt sign came on, his eyes were firmly closed. "It's a bit late to have a nap, Mr. Taylor. We will be landing in a moment," said a feminine voice above him. Opening his eyes, Sam stared up at the pretty flight attendant who had spent much of the journey back from Norway in friendly conversation with him. "Old army trick. Sleep where you can," he replied, feigning a yawn. The idea of telling this regular flyer about his irrational fear was too embarrassing to contemplate. The flight attendant shook her head in exasperation. "After spending hours sat here doing nothing, you now decide to go to sleep." "I wasn't doing nothing. I was finding excuses to speak to you." She blushed and gently patted his shoulder before walking past him to the end of the cabin. Sam watched on, surprised by his own boldness at replying in such a direct way. True, he had only been speaking the truth. He had spent most of the flight trying to find excuses to chat to the red-haired beauty. But still, coming out with a line like that, he would be lucky to be allowed to fly again with the airline. Yet she had also found excuses to come and chat to him on the 2-hour flight. Something greatly helped by lack of other passengers on this early flight from Oslo. Sam had counted 22 other travellers on this morning's flight, allowing all of them to have a row to themselves as they flew into London. The droning voice of the captain came over the plane's speakers, instructing the cabin crew to complete their final checks. Sam received another smile from his new friend as she moved past his front row seat